What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the new 2022 BMW i4. We're going to look at a quick side-by-side spec comparison of the two trims. We're going to compare them against some competitors like the Model 3, and of course we're going to do some quarter-mile drag races and look at the performance. So BMW has announced two different trims. They have a rear-wheel drive version single motor and an all-wheel drive dual motor setup. On my screen here you can see the side-by-side spec comparison of the two versions. On the left is the rear-wheel drive, on the right is the all-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive version is going to start at $55,400 while the all-wheel drive will start at $65,900. The rear-wheel drive version is going to make 335 horsepower and 317 foot-pounds of torque. The dual motor setup is going to make 536 horsepower of combined power, so a lot more power, but it is going to weigh 4,883 pounds. Both of these cars share the same 81.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It has a quoted 300 miles of range, while the all-wheel drive version has a 245 miles of range. So the first thing I've done is thrown these two cars into the drag race simulator. We're going to do a quarter mile with the rear-wheel drive on top, all-wheel drive on bottom. We can see the all-wheel drive is getting 3.360 to 60, and that's with 1 foot rail out subtracted, so about 3.6 with 1 foot rail out included. The rear-wheel drive version is getting a 5.30 to 60 with 1 foot rail out subtracted, so pretty close to the figures that BMW is quoting, just a little bit faster. So naturally, people are going to compare the i4 to the Tesla Model 3. I've gone ahead and set up a drag race with the Model 3 standard range, so this is the rear-wheel drive version that Tesla sells. It starts at about 40,000, and it has a 260 mile range. So pretty similar on the specs, but the BMW is a lot heavier. So let's see how they do in the quarter mile. So we have the Tesla on top, the i4 on bottom, and we can see it's pretty similar. The Tesla's a little bit faster off the line. So the Tesla comes in at a 5.10 to 60 with 1 foot rollout subtracted versus 5.3 in the BMW, pretty similar. And then they pretty much are even through the quarter mile. So the BMW has a little bit higher trap speed, despite having a lot more weight than this Model 3. It actually holds peak power really well. So BMW is quoting peak power from 8,000 to 17,000 RPMs in their motors. So you'll actually see a power curve in the i4 that's really flat. It'll look something like the Plaid, just obviously a lot less power, whereas the Model 3 has quite a bit of drop off once it gets into those higher RPMs. Okay, so we're gonna move over to the all-wheel drive version of the i4. This is the M50, and I've set up a quarter mile simulated drag race against a Model 3 long range. So both dual motor setups, and we can see the i4 is quite a bit faster off the line, so it's getting that 3.360 to 60 and 4.04 for the long range. And this is with 1 foot rail out subtracted, keep that in mind. And in the quarter, we see 11.6 at 120 versus 12.4 at 112. Of course, Tesla has the Model 3 Performance model, so let's jump over to that and see how it compares. So we swapped the long range out for a Model 3 Performance. Let's see how it does against the i4 M50. So it's faster off the line. It gets a 0 to 60 in 3.06. And then you can see they're pretty neck and neck. And actually at the very end of the quarter mile, the BMW is pulling just ever so slightly. So we see 11.4 at 117 out of the Model 3, 11.6 at 120 of the BMW. So the BMW does have more top end power, but it's not enough to get past the launch, so it does lose the quarter mile. I hope you enjoyed those simulated drag races. I'm really excited to see what kind of numbers these things do in the real world once people get their hands on them. BMW does sandbag their numbers a little bit when it comes to 0 to 60 in power, so I do expect this thing to be pretty fast. It is a little disappointing how heavy these cars are. The all-wheel drive version's coming in at almost 5,000 pounds, so it's about equivalent to a Model S Plaid. It's really heavy. Nonetheless, I'm excited that BMW is starting to make some serious electric cars and they'll actually compete in the market. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.